The space race was a very significant development throughout the world in the post-World War II era. With the increased tensions of the Cold War between the USSR and the United States came the space race, which was a competition between these two nations in order to increase their access to technology to explore and discover the nuances of the outer space.
Reasons for the beginning of the space race included the goals of each nation to show the world they had the strongest economy, society, scientists, innovation, and technology. By asserting itself as the most dominant country in outer space, that country would be able to intimidate their opponent and reassure national pride within their own country.
Another reason for the beginning of the space race was the relevance of modern technology to the military or government. Institutes such as JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratory, or NASA, National Aeronautics and Space Administration, became government-funded in the 1950s to increase America's access to rocket research.
The space race was actually initiated by the United States, as Eisenhower declared in 1955 that we would be the first to send a satellite into orbit in outer space. The USSR, however, took this challenge and beat us to it. In 1957, the iconic satellite was named Sputnik.
Americans later retaliated by launching Explorer. Now on to the first man in space. His name was Yuri Gagarin, and he completed his mission in 1961. Americans soon followed suit yet again with the infamous Alan Shepard. Years later, the first man to orbit the Earth, John Glenn, departed.
Because Americans were disheartened by being behind in the space race, Kennedy proudly announced the launching of the Apollo moon program. Americans and Russians alike were astonished by his claims that there would be a man on the moon soon.
During the space race in the year 1967, the Outer Space Treaty prevented any country from placing weapons of mass destruction in orbit of the Earth. The treaty thus prevented explicitly Russians from endangering the entire planet.
After much failure and spending and experimenting, 8 years later in 1969, Apollo 11 launched. Those who ventured out onto the moon included Neil Armstrong and the lesser-known Buzz Aldrin and Michael Collins. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
With man's first step on the moon, the space race was over. No more spacewalks, moon rocks, or Russian space satellites. The legend of the first man on the moon prevailed for decades. In 1975, the space race effectively ended with the Apollo-Soyuz U.S.-Russia collaborative mission.
The legacy of the space race affected many aspects such as women's roles in society, in fields such as science and technology, as well as improving the world's knowledge of our universe.